WMAL FM Woodbridge, Washington. WMAL Washington. WRQX HD2, Washington.
It's the Saturday morning update on WMAL. I'm Rick Fowler. Spring just around the corner. We'll finally be getting out and about. And next time you're down along the waterfront around Main Avenue by the Gangplank, you will see a magnificent yacht. It is the Sequoia Presidential Yacht. Its history is amazing, and we're joined by the owner. Gary Silversmith is a Washington attorney and investor and owner of the Sequoia Presidential Yacht. Gary, it's great to have you with us on WMAL.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Before we talk about Presidents Nixon and Kennedy, tell us a little bit about the design, the construction, and the early history of the Sequoia.
Sure. Of course, one can go to www.sequoiayacht.com and our website and get a lot of information, including links to both the History Channel and the Discovery Channel, who each did a good piece on the Sequoia Presidential Yacht. But the yacht was built by the Trumpy shipyard, who made what is known as the Rolls-Royce of the wooden yachts of the 20s. This yacht at 104 feet was the longest of the Trumpies, and it was built between 1923 and 1925 at a cost of $200,000, of course, in 1923 dollars. And it was built at the Trumpy shipyard in Camden, New Jersey. It was built for a wealthy Texas oil man, and his oil company was called Sequoia Oil. And the government purchased the Sequoia not as a presidential yacht, but really to enforce prohibition, because the feds would go on the Sequoia up and down the Potomac and throughout the bay, Chesapeake Bay, and the rich yachtsmen would come up, and the rum runners would come up to sell liquor, and the feds would jump off and arrest them. Herbert Hoover, who was Secretary of Commerce at the time under Harding, he did not like prohibition, so he would leave the Department of Commerce building in Washington, now called the Herbert Hoover building, and he would go to embassies in Washington and drink, because embassies were exempt from prohibition. So when Herbert Hoover became the president, he decided not to use the yacht for enforcing prohibition, but rather he made it his presidential yacht. So it first became the presidential yacht under Herbert Hoover, but it was owned by the government prior to Herbert Hoover.
Now, I understand that Richard Nixon actually was out on the yacht on, over 100 occasions. Of those occasions, and probably many historic, what to you is the most striking of Richard Nixon's cruises on the yacht? I
think there's two somewhat striking stories. Nixon used the Sequoia over 100 times, more than any other president, and over a dozen presidents have used the yacht. The first story, just of an historic nature, was Nixon and Brezhnev negotiated on the top deck the first Soviet-American arms control treaty, the start of the end of the Cold War on the Sequoia. But the more poignant and interesting story of Nixon using the yacht occurred one night when he had his family go on the Sequoia with him, and he sat down at the piano in the main salon. He always had 2 glasses of scotch on the rocks, so they poured his second glass of scotch, and Nixon said to the crew member pouring the glass, "Leave the bottle," which he had never done before. He also had his family go into the next room, the aft salon, and they shut the sliding door, all of which, of course, is there today, and he sat alone on the piano. When the crew member was walking out and Nixon had the bottle on the piano, Nixon yelled, "I want every light off on the boat." So Nixon is sitting alone at the piano for over a half hour, drinking out of the bottle of scotch and playing on the piano over and over again, "God Bless America." And after about a half hour of drinking and playing "God Bless America" on the piano, Nixon got up and stumbled to the sliding door to the aft salon, opened it, and said to his family, "I'm resigning tomorrow." And so it's reportedly where he decided to resign the presidency. And then a little while later, Nixon went to the crew and said, we will not see you again. So it's an interesting note of historic importance on the yacht.
Another very striking story about John Kennedy.
Perhaps the most poignant use for Kennedy was his last birthday. He had his last birthday party on board with his family, extended family, Robert, Ted, and the wives, and his good friend David Niven, the British actor. And Ethel Kennedy, Robert's widow, told me that to her that was the pinnacle of happiness during the Kennedy presidency was that evening for President Kennedy's last birthday on the Sequoia, where they had a buffet, nice meal in the main salon at the same table that's there today, where they served the 1957 Dom Perignon champagne, and then they went into the aft salon and opened presents. And it was a wonderful night. They did not have a photographer, but Captain Ismay, with his own Brownie Instamatic, took pictures. And we have those pictures on board, and they are also at the Kennedy Library in Boston.
Wow. Gary, it's not like the public can go down and buy tickets. It's not really public access to the USS Sequoia, but it can be rented for events, correct?
That's correct. We do charter the boat if one wants to rent the vessel for 4 hours for either dockside or sailing on the Potomac. That is available, and the boat capacity, Coast Guard capacity, is 42 plus catering and crew. So it is available for rental. Our main number is 202-333-0011, or of course the website sequoiayacht.com. So it remains at the Gangplank Marina on Main Avenue in Southwest, next to the Odyssey, and it's available.
And I know that you've done some very special charters.
We do some free cruises for Walter Reed soldiers, wounded warriors, and the Boy Scouts. And we sponsor a Sea Scout troop for inner city kids in the District of Columbia.
Oh, that's cool. Gary Silversmith, owner of the Sequoia Presidential Yacht. Thanks for sharing a couple of the stories of the presidents, and I know there are many, many more. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you, sir.
SequoiaYacht.com is the website. Some fascinating history there as well. SequoiaYacht.com.
Every day.